We are now being joined by Mark Merowitz. He's joining us live from New York. Mr. Merowitz is a political commentator and also professor at State University of New York. Thank you so much for joining us on WION.
Hi, thank you.
Right, Mr. Merowitz, the House voted to eject Kevin McCarthy as leader of the House, making him the first speaker in history to ever be removed. Now, the House is in a complete state of paralysis, so as we're seeing right now, what course of action are we expecting going forward?
Well, I mean, I think the Republicans are going to elect a new speaker, and I think probably it will be Steve Scalise. He's very, very popular. The one issue is that he has been ill with blood cancer, but he was interviewed and said he feels great. He's highly popular, and I think he's the best, I think, candidate out there. You know, life will go on. Look, McCarthy saved the country by preventing a government shutdown. McCarthy said that he could not look the American troops in the eye because he wouldn't pay, not being able to be paid for serving in the military. He just couldn't in good conscience do it. He worked something out, but whatever he worked out, he was determined, he was called a traitor by this fringe group in the Republican Party. This bodes very badly for the House as an institution. And as you say, it's the first time that the full House has actually ejected the Speaker. But remember that McCarthy came in on 15 ballots, and it was incredibly tense and incredibly contentious. So his speakership was always in jeopardy. So, I mean, I think, you know, this is just more endemic of our politics.
Yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise that he's been ousted. I mean, there were enough hints for it happened, but it's definitely something that's happening for the first time that we've seen. McCarthy's ouster will bring legislative activity in the House to a halt. You know, those are now the pressing concerns. There is another government shutdown deadline looming November 17th. Do you feel Congress would extend funding by then? Or is there any way to avert that instead of seeing what we've seen right now again?
Look, I mean, shutting the government looks terrible for both parties. And the fact of the matter is we've been doing this over and over again. Year in, year out, we've got this problem with shutdown, and we've had some shutdowns. We had shutdowns in the past that went on for weeks. We've had them, and the implications are very, very clear. The problem is that American politics right now is complete turmoil. Think about it. The House Speaker was ousted. The former President of the United States has been sitting in court and has 4 different indictments. The House was, as you said, in the middle of an impeachment inquiry against the sitting president, who's being accused of transactions, improper transactions with his son. I mean, how is it that the American people are supposed to concentrate on the fact that we have a presidential election year coming up? We have turmoil up and down Capitol Hill and up and down Washington, D.C. And whose fault is it? Well, we're very polarized. And I think that's the problem. If you're asking me how this gets solved, it doesn't get solved until people start working together. And frankly, in the good of the American people, and McCarthy was very clear in his press conference about that, he thought he did the right thing for America, and he did. But the very, very fringe Republicans basically tanked him, destroyed him. But remember, when he came in as House Speaker, they put in a provision that any member could call a vote like this. That was the deal they made in order to put him in on the 15th ballot. So somebody got up and said, motion to vacate the Speaker. And then they voted and they threw him out. And honestly, I think he really rose to the occasion. I think the way he explained it in his press conference was very, very persuasive, and he did the right thing for the American people, and that's going to be the legacy here. He's determined, he's a traitor to the Republican fringe.
They need to come together to move forward. That's exactly, you know, that's the bigger takeaway from what you're saying.
Right, Mark also shed some light as to who do you see as a top contender to replace McCarthy now? Do you see Steve Scalise replacing McCarthy in future?
Absolutely. Patrick McHenry is a McCarthy ally. and he is the interim speaker, as was stated earlier. Scalise is enormously popular. I don't think that Jim Jordan or some other contenders really have a chance. I think Scalise is the main contender for this. He's very popular, and I think he will be able to work well. By the way, if you listen to the House debate, you know, most of the Republicans got up and said, we like Kevin McCarthy. We believe he's a great speaker. He's tried to do a great job. What is very tragic in this, and I mean tragic, is that all the Democrats got together to kick McCarthy out. And I think that is shameful. After he went ahead and worked with the Democrats to avert the shutdown of the government, the Democrats turned on him, and who did they ally with? The 8 fringe Republicans. I think that's horrible, and I think it sets a terrible precedent for behavior, political behavior in the House.
Mark, thank you so much for joining in on the broadcast with your views. Always a pleasure to hear from you and have you here on the show with us.
Right. Quite amazing, quite amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.